Thanks for watching. Please take this time to join the notification gang. What is your deepest regret? Not being able to communicate my thoughts in a clear manner. Not being able to show much emotions or being able to show any kind of affection. It's cost me many a relationship. As I reach middle age, my deepest regret is actually having spent so much of my life burning with regrets. I regret second-guessing myself, thinking it was too late to follow my dreams, worrying too much about making mistakes, and just generally giving myself a hard time for making bad decisions in the past. The reality is regret by itself doesn't serve much purpose. Unless you can use it to motivate you, all it does is allow bad things from the past to colonize and eat into the present. If you are able to let go of it, that's a great thing. Procrastinating on working on myself. I'm pretty sure some of the people who've reached out to me on this account took the desperate step of killing themselves before I could respond. I sometimes get very long and dark messages and the user who sent them never replies. Not taking chances and seeing it compound. Not trying what I want because I might fail. Not asking that girl out because she might say no. Not living. I spent too much fearing what might go wrong and not enough time pursuing life. My friend wanted to play Battlefield 1 with me, but I would tell him I don't have time. After a month I promised that we would play after his return from his trip. I didn't keep my promise because when he was returning from that trip, his friend, who had just got driving license, was speeding while raining and didn't make turn and crashed my friend's side to a tree. He died next day because of brain bleed. It's almost a year and the memory of getting the news of his death still haunts me today. Not sticking up for myself more. I was bullied at school and abused at home. It took some time for me to recover from it all. If I had been able to spend that time and energy on other things, see who knows what I might have accomplished. Not looking after my physical health. My quality of life would be many times higher now if I just did 30 minutes of exercise, ate more than once every 2 days, and brushed my teeth. Waking up in pain every morning can set your whole day up to be bad if you let it, and also I can't remember the last time I smiled and wasn't immediately depressed, embarrassed and self-conscious about my teeth. I'm not even 25 yet either. Not looking after my teeth when I was depressed. I abandoned all forms of self-care, but you can come back from them all pretty quickly except for dental stuff. I was hospitalized for my depression for months, don't think I even had a toothbrush with me. Leaving that one damn window open just wide enough for my bird to squeeze her way out and fly away. Her species could never survive our climate, even if she somehow managed to find food, water, and shelter. I miss Kiwi so damn much. I don't even know how to describe the sense of loss and the guilt I have to this very day. I still cry every time I think about it. Hell, I'm crying now. The worst part is not knowing. I don't know if she suffered, I don't know if she's alive, though that's highly unlikely unless someone took her in, but I put up missing posters so they would have probably returned her to me. I don't know how she felt, I don't know where she went, I don't know where she is now. All I can do is imagine, and my imagination is cruel to me. I would give anything just to see her again, even die in her place. Her life was cut cruelly short, and she didn't deserve this. Not being honest about my depression. Doing so won't get me the help I desperately need. It's been getting worse over the years. Going to college. Like most millennials, I was pressured into it, to the point that I never even considered careers that didn't require a college education. Now I'm working as a cook after giving up my teaching career, and I love it. Marrying my Jehovah's Witness husband, converting to his religion, giving up my hobbies and worldly friends and extended family. I spent my teenage years being afraid. Afraid of what people think. Afraid of being mocked at. Afraid of bullies. Afraid of daring. Afraid of my parents' threats, on their buff for good reasons. Afraid of doing something big. I mostly fixed all those, I don't care what people think, and that gives me confidence. Confidence is rarely mocked at, and bullies are a joke for me, for a while now, and in transferring that to my kids, I dared to do stuff I never dreamed of. I understand now my parents' threats and I reckon they were right sometimes, and I have done big things I never thought I was capable. I just wish it didn't took me until 38-year-old to do them. isolating myself from the world. I thought that being alone would make me stronger, but it crippled me. I spend most days alone and silent. I have no friends, nobody who really cares about me. My family is 2,000 miles away, and I spend almost every waking minute thinking about how nice it would be if I had another person to talk to. But I isolated myself and my social skills deteriorated, which caused me to become anxious over the thought of starting a conversation. Most days I can make it through without even talking at work. I'm just utterly alone. I majored in the wrong thing, and feel really blind for not seeing it at the time. Can't stand my job, and my only choices are to try to self-study, software dev, and land a job that way, or pay a ton of money for a degree or cert. Either way, have to do this in addition to working full-time or move back in with my parents. I'm trying the self-study route, but I flip-flop between believing in myself and thinking I have no chance against people with computer science degrees. Ruining a relationship because I didn't think someone so nice could understand what I was going through after coming home from Afghanistan. I didn't think it was possible for someone else to love me if I hated myself so much. So instead of talking to her about it, I took the coward's way out and pulled away until she couldn't deal with it anymore and called it off. I've had a few relationships since then, and not one of them has ever stacked up to that girl. She was an absolute angel. If I had been stronger or able to process my feelings better back then, maybe I could have made it work. Losing the love of my life 7 years ago. There was so much time we lost. Luckily, we found each other again, and I'm doing my best to show her how much she means to me every single day. I suppose it's a light regret. Because she and I are all in this time. Telling my stepfather that I wish he would die during a heated argument one night. Got picked up from school the next day and told he died of a heart attack at the hospital. I was in the 6th grade at the time, and it still haunts me to this day. I'm 28 now. My mum and I had a stupid argument way back in 2009. It was the most upset I'd ever seen her, and it was all my fault. I apologized, but I always felt my apology was inadequate. She passed away a few months later. I wished I'd sat down with her and actually properly apologized. In high school, when I was in class, there were like 3-4 girls who would sit behind me and drill their pen in my back at a specific place really hard where it hurts the most. They did this every class all day. And then when I made a weird movement because of it, I got in trouble. So one day they did it again. I pushed away my table, stood up and straight up slapped the girl in her face. I was going to do it really hard, which I luckily was able to keep myself from doing. It's now 2 years later and I still regret it. Wasting so much time feeling like I needed the acceptance of others whilst sabotaging my life trying to be the person I thought they wanted me to be. Not eating low carb from 18 to 23, and then not sticking to it when I ate that way at age 23. I lost 30 pounds, was a perfect weight and health. Felt fantastic and strong. Then bought into the fear-mongering based on zero actual science and went back to eating normally but trying to do portion control. 2 kids. A bleep ton of health issues later and up 50 pounds from healthy weight. Now add stress and bad habits make it so much harder to make any progress. I'd made a concerted effort 2 years ago and was within 20 pounds of optimal health, feeling great. Then family member was diagnosed with leukemia and the last 2 years have been about survival instead of improvement. I'm sick more and feel awful physically most of the time now. And despite knowing how much better I'll feel if I can eat right, I'm stressed and want to just eat a bagel with a vat of honey, almond cream cheese and pancakes and spicy noodles. Maybe a donut. I was in a hurry to grow up, get married and have the life. It really sucked, and still 8 years later I'm still recovering. I wish that I would have slowed down and taken more time to think about all of it rather than rushing into it. I would have had a house, my dream career, and no debt. I also wouldn't have ended up where I am, with the knowledge that I have. I'm happy again, but man, I wish it never happened. Not having kids. Being gay, I couldn't get married until I was 46. My mum died when I was 11. I wouldn't bring a child into the world knowing I might not be around for them when they turn 20 onwards. I know kids are grown up in their 20s, but I remember missing my mum on my 21st birthday, the day my sister got married. All those life events I wished she had been there for. Even though we had the chance, we decided we were too old. I've always wanted to be a dad. Not traveling as much as I want to. I want to enjoy the world with friends, but it seems none of them want to enjoy it with me, so I never go anywhere. I want to stop living a life people expect from me and do more for me. I was about to travel to Europe, but my cat got sick. At first I did not regret it, but now sometimes I do. I loved my cat, he was the most badass cat and was mine, so I don't regret spending his last few weeks with him, but I do wish I went traveling. Staying in my small comfort zone. I was a big football fan and could have gone to the University of Nebraska from 1992 to 1996 as a student, not an athlete. I chose to play it safe and go to the local college in the city I grew up in. I didn't know that those 4 years would be the best years the football program ever had, playing for 3 national championships at that time. It would have been great to experience in person instead of just on TV. I'm sure I would have met many more friends and had much more fun. The college I ended up going to was pretty boring and not much fun. If I would have just listened to my parents and not been scared of being away from home, I wouldn't have that regret. Starting school a year early. It was mostly my mom's decision, but I really wish she had waited until I was 5. I'm the youngest kid in my grade and the only kid that started early and didn't get held back. I was definitely smart enough to start early, but I wasn't mature enough, so I got offended and would break down crying over every little thing, which led to me being bullied relentlessly. The teachers wouldn't do anything about it either. In fact, they punished me for being bullied, rather than the bullies. This fucked me up and my grades suffered for years. I'm in my last week of my senior year and my grades have only just begun to reflect my intelligence again. I'm 30 this year, and there is absolutely nothing I can say I'm proud of. No skills, abilities, experience, relationships. Still struggling to get my master's thesis done. Still struggling with even the most basic things in life that I should have mastered years ago. I've done so many bad choices and it is definitely getting to a point where I no longer even want to bother with them. I have procrastinated with almost all possible, and some impossible, things during the last few years, and it is getting harder and harder to get back into the game, where I never really was a player to begin with. It's not too late yet, but definitely getting there. Not taking a full ride to a lower-tier state school and instead going to another public school that has a better rank. Undergraduate means nothing as far as ranking is concerned, and I should have just saved my parents' money. Ugh. I'm not even using the degree I got in the job I'm in, and I'm pretty sure I would have gotten the same job had I went to the state school that offered me the full ride. And here's the kicker, I hated the school that I ended up going to. The first is getting my first, and so far only, girlfriend pregnant. She had lied to me about her contraception and was abusive as shit, and I should have left her way sooner. Now I have to live with this for the rest of my life. The second is getting with my best friend's girlfriend while they were still dating. It was perhaps the most stupid, selfish thing I've ever done. I eventually came to my senses, left her, and my friend and I have sorted things out now, but I'll never forgive myself for it. Not going to college to study something I'm actually passionate about. Instead I went for something that I thought would help me make money. I'm now completely miserable working in a field that does make me good money. However, I'm completely depressed about my day-to-day life and live for the weekends just so I can relax and get my mind off work for 2 days. Letting my mum's opinions of my body get to me as a teen. I was always so self-conscious, but when I look back I was literally nowhere near fat, chubby. I know now that it was really her way of projecting her own insecurities onto me, but at the time I took it to heart. Now that I'm actually chubby, I'm actually more confident and have no problem telling my mom off when she gets a bit too possessive of how I look and whatnot. This question is so hard for me because my biggest regret is marrying the girl I dated in college. I wish I had taken more time to figure out who my adult self was. However, we have 3 kids who I love dearly, so there is no way, if given the chance, I would do anything different. Back in 6th grade, I was at a friend's house and his mom made me oatmeal. On the side there was a TV playing that one episode of Jimmy Neutron where he tries to make his own candy. During the taste testing scene, his mom asked me how is it? And my 6th grader mind, still focused on the taste testing scene, said haha it's disgusting. And I explained myself afterwards, but I still feel terrible and cringe thinking about it 7 years later. Not being more financially sensible. I've always had average jobs, I'm able to support myself and my cats well, but I'd abuse my credit card when I was younger without really thinking about it. Now I'm older and have been serious about my finances for a few years, and I'm still about 18 months away from being 100% debt-free, and then a few years away from buying my own house instead of renting. If I had more self-control when I was younger, I wouldn't have spent years paying it all off. It's especially tough as my boyfriend and I would like to get married, have a baby, but that's pushed back by the need to be financially set up before we do any of that. Live and learn. Welp, I was in need of money one time. But then, fucking Supercell tempted me into buying an offer which costs half of my money left. Being a stupid person, I bought it. I wouldn't have regret this if I at least got one legendary Uno. That sucked for me and my wallet. My grandfather was real sick and my dad offered to drive me to visit him. I had seen him the weekend prior and my dad said he wasn't in a great mood, so I declined. Little did I know, that would have been the last time I could have seen him. Miss him every day, but I really regret not seeing him again. Doing too many drugs and not saving any money. I'm 35 now, single and still live at home. I enjoyed my life but could have definitely made wiser choices.